Yay! Glenn is here. He ran home from work. There's his hand. He came home to make sure I was able to do this. And yay! I see all the comments. Hi, Kelly. Oh, goodness. Everybody can comment before we even go live, but that's awesome. If you haven't seen on my Instagram and Facebook page these adorable little lemons, I'm giving them away. I'm raffling them off, I think, on Tuesday. And you can comment on Instagram or the One Mom's Battle Facebook page. I'm going to give one away on each platform. They are so cute. I got them from Nordstrom's and they're little jelly cats. But when I saw them, I'm like, I bought 5. So I'm looking forward to giving some away to your little ones. Let's see. See everybody logging in. So yeah, just all you have to do is comment, answer the question. It's just, how did you first connect with One Mom's Battle? How long have you been a part of my journey? I know some of you have been a part of this since back in, can you guys hear the crows? There are like crows outside really loud. I'll get up and close the door if I need to, but I was kind of liking the fresh morning air, so as long as everybody doesn't mind birds squawking, yeah. So happy Saturday. I have been so busy. It's weird. I have comments down here, comments up there. So I renewed your love for lemonade and lemons. You know, it has become, poor Glenn, we have a comforter that is lemons. We have, I put I put one of these above his bed last night on our headboard. I'm like, sorry. I buy so much lemon stuff. It's just a thing I do, and it makes me so happy. And then people mail me lemon stuff. People have sent me pajamas, all kinds of things. It's so, I just love it. It's happy. So, hi, Nina and Gigi, my loyal every single Facebook Live. Thank you for being here. Jessica, Libra, Jenny. I love seeing all your names. Good morning, Randy. So I've been so busy with this coach training program, and I'm going to tell you on a personal level to be shifting from working in the trenches to empowering other people. I've never been so excited about a project in my life, and it's really exciting. But that's what I've been doing. I've been having, oh gosh, my client schedule right now is booked out past September, and it's just been really, really hectic. We've got the pandemic. First of all, just my calendar starts filling up for coaching clients around April. People starting to panic about summer plans, summer scheduling changes, and all of the things going on legally for them. And then we go to pandemic and talk about, wow, did things blow up? And now it's the school year is starting. A lot of the questions that have been coming in have had to do with COVID and the school year and what are people doing. And, we know as fact that if I don't want my kids to start school in the fall, the other side hears that and they want the kids to start school in the fall. It's like what we deal with all the time. If you, regardless of your opinions of vaccinations, if somebody is anti-vax, their husband, even if they've been on board with the anti-vax the entire time since pregnancy, they hear that you don't want it and it's a way to hurt you, and they're going to want your kids vaccinated. Same with homeschool. I'm kind of little bit cracking up because I've got a lot of moms who do homeschool. That is their thing, and they have been fought on it the whole time, even though a husband was completely on board until the divorce, and then it's a way to go for the jugular. Now all the kids are getting homeschooled for the most part anyway, so it's kind of like that was a waste of money in court fighting. I I'm a bit disappointed I'm not in your training group. I know it was a leap of faith launching this whole thing. It's something I believe in so much, but it sold out in 2 weeks flat. And so we're going to do another one in April. For those of you who applied for a scholarship or applied to the program, I'm going to have a little bit different of a process this time, so stay tuned. But once we get this program completely laid out, we're doing a lot of filming, the most amazing speakers you could ever imagine, from top psychologists who will be doing different modules based on their areas of expertise, to attorneys. I have a diagnosed narcissist who is, his presentation, I already have his course portion done, and it was one of the most triggering things I have ever dealt with. It completely threw me off for a full day, and I'll tell you why. It's not that I don't know everything he said, but it was that deep validation of hearing it from a narcissist, how they are in court, what seriously, really, I have done so much healing and I'm not as triggered as I once was, but I will tell you, this triggered me. And so when I did the course introduction, I actually kind of did a trigger warning for everybody and said, if you need to push pause and come back. Somebody just asked the guy on TikTok, yes, Lee, and I've got a lot of really negative comments about my alliance with him. And I will tell you why I'm connected to him and why, I'm going to do other projects with him. His insight is absolutely invaluable. And if I could go back to 2009 and hire him, I don't care if I had to skip, 2 meals a day to pay for it. His advice is invaluable. And so if you're looking at it as, strategy, his stuff is phenomenal. So anyway, okay, I hope this will be available to view after it's done. Yes, it will. I'll save it on the normal Coffee with Tina. I do it every hey Deanna, yes, I'm excited for January too. You are in my program. So let's go ahead and dive into the questions. And for those of you who don't know how to submit questions, you can send them by email to coffeedatewithtina@gmail.com. I will tell you, my inbox is so full right now of questions, so I'm just going through them in chronological order. I'm also taking the ones that are relevant to everybody because I can't do a lot of background. So keep them as direct and to the point as possible. And then we also, I have a wonderful new girl who's helping me with my Instagram. Shout out to Courtney in Australia. She actually scheduled something to where people could put questions. I'm not tech savvy, but on Instagram. And so I got a lot that way as well. And my little fine print disclaimer, I am not an attorney. I'm not qualified to give legal advice. This is very much a community of support of, individuals who have experienced narcissistic abuse. And when I share my input, I'm putting myself in your shoes and saying, this is what I would do. But again, I'm not an attorney. I cannot give you legal advice. Your attorney is your advocate and voice in the courtroom. So always lean on them. Anytime you create a new strategy, do something different, put something in writing, they should approve it first. So with that said, I would like to know, here's our COVID question. I would like to know how to handle the lack of compliance with social distancing and mask wearing. When my son visits his dad, he is constantly exposed to people outside of the household via social gatherings. I worry about his return to my home for both his health and mine. Should I message him to document this? Can an attorney do something about this? It's such a mixed question. There are judges who seem to be really paying attention to this, really taking it seriously. But then there's other ones who just have the mentality that a parent would not put their child in jeopardy, and so giving them the benefit of the doubt. And that is great unless you're dealing with a narcissist. So, I know one example, trying to adjust here. When my daughters almost drowned on my ex-husband's parenting time, and to this day, I do not believe it was an accident. And I put it in front of the court, and the judge said, I asked for the court to rule that he had to have them in life vests anytime they were in the water. My daughter was 5. She had a seizure disorder back then, and had been diagnosed as an acute disorder. And so all I wanted was he has to agree that they're in life vests. It's one more hoop for him to jump through. And the judge said, I'm not going to micromanage this case. He's not going to do anything that would put the kids in danger. And I'm thinking, they almost just drowned. They both went underwater multiple times, with my 7-year-old trying to rescue my 5-year-old. And yeah, he actually would, but that's kind of the mentality, is because they don't understand when somebody is in this cluster B category, if they are narcissistic or more on the sociopathic, antisocial realm, they actually would, do something to affect a child. And especially when these individuals find out that you're concerned about COVID, all feelings about, different opinions and political views aside, if they find out you are concerned about COVID, your child is going to be exposed. Your child is going to be taken to events, and the pictures will be posted on social media just so they get back to you. It's truly sick. And the hard part is the disconnect with the court. They don't get that. And so, would the court care? My opinion, it depends on the judge. Talk to your attorney about what the climate is in your local court system about COVID, about precautions being taken. And I'm shocked he allowed you to find out. So yeah, it's and if somebody else has had experience on this topic, obviously I'm not in the court system anymore, but I have a lot of clients who are. If you have personal experience with this topic, please feel free to leave it in the comments and offer up your input, your experience. I'll say that if my ex was doing this and exposing my kids, I have an autoimmune disease, and it has a life-threatening potential to it. And mixed with COVID, yeah, I'm taking quarantine way more seriously than most people. If I were still co-parenting with my ex-husband, I can guarantee you my kids would be exposed constantly, because it would be his goal to infect me. And I know that as fact. So would I be putting things in writing? Absolutely. Not because I expect him to do the right thing. It's kind of along the lines of the course I teach on strategic communication. I would be putting things in writing to document my concerns and what's going on, to build my case, basically, not because I expect my ex-husband to go, oh, you're so right, this is a concern and I shouldn't be doing this. So I would be doing it very strategically. You want to check with your attorney before you implement any new strategies. But mine would very much be, hey Seth, I wanted to open lines of communication about COVID. I've been told the girls have been at several social gatherings. That's a concern to me with my health condition. I'm trying to understand what you're doing to ensure that everybody's safe. I came across a picture where the girls weren't even wearing masks, and nor were, nobody else in the group was either. So, not in an attacking way. My strategy is very much yellow rock communication. And, the great my little yellow rock reminder. It's gray rock, it's the basis of it, but you have to, everything you put in writing is for the court purposes. And so that would be a time where I would be very strategic in my communication. Question number 2. And I don't really read these. I mean, I skim them, but I don't think of the answers in advance. So bear with me. My ex has teamed up with one child and turned her against me and her sister. The other child is being emotionally abused at his house and doesn't want to go. Would it be better to have the one child live with him and the other with me, alternating every other weekend together, or would a judge even consider that? That is such a difficult topic and one that I've never personally experienced. But it sounds like the classic golden child versus targeted child scenario. And both of those are equally harmful to your kids, regardless of which title. They're equally harmful in different ways. And so, that it's heartbreaking to me as a mom that his tactics are working with one child, and it's the classic domestic violence by proxy, where he's using the kids, weaponizing the kids to hurt you the way he knows that's the number one way to hurt you is through your kids. And when it actually works, it breaks my heart. And a lot of times what we see is these kids, if he had not paid attention to them in the past, which is typical, it's tedious to be a parent, so they're checked out and the kids become like little dried up sponges. Well, when all of a sudden dad or narcissistic parent is pouring tons of attention and affection on them, they're just absorbing it because they're so desperate for it. And so that's when it works. Or if they're trying to pit them against you, me personally, I truly don't know what I would do, because I look at my daughters and I've always been so thankful that they have each other and they've had each other through this whole thing. For those of you who have one little one and you're sending that child in by themselves to deal with this type of situation, my oldest daughter had to become her little sister's protector. And that was a role she should have never had to take on. It was a very adult role. I'm thankful she did and that she stepped up to the plate. But when you're in a situation where he has successfully pitted them against each other and one against you, as a mom, my heart hurts for you. Whenever a child is estranged through domestic violence by proxy, my strategy, if I were facing that, would be to constantly let them know, I'm here. I love you unconditionally. I want to spend time with you, and then just pouring more, love and affection and praise onto that child to kind of center them, because at their core level, every time I see a situation like this, it always comes out, most of the time, it comes out really well in the end, because when you distance yourself from the conflict and the child is, when you are not engaging with either of them and those two are forced to interact without the feed that he's getting from being in battle with you over the situation, that's where it implodes, because the mask comes off. And so just letting, when your child is able to center and kind of at a core level, I believe 100% that they know and recognize that one parent's love is conditional and one parent's love is unconditional. And even if there are temporary setbacks to where they're in that fog, they're confused. I mean, I can say as a woman in my early 30s, I was not equipped to deal with gaslighting and the toxic behavior from my ex-husband that just puts you in such a fog. And so to imagine a child dealing with that, They don't have the life experiences, the resources, the tools that we have. And it was hard for us to navigate that. We have support groups, we have things like this where we're coming together and helping each other. I have so much compassion for your child who's in that position as well. Be there for her, let her know, I don't feel comfortable weighing in on the schedule. If somebody else has had experience with this, please. I do think that keeping the kids together at all costs, it would be a priority. And a good therapist, if I were facing that, I don't know that I would split up my kids. I think the court even puts so much weight on a sibling bond that I think if I'm looking at this big picture, my opinion, it might do more harm than good. And again, not qualified to weigh in, just as a mom to mom, I don't think I could split them up. So, but if anybody else, has input on that, feel free to chime in and share. It's not easy. And it's one of the most painful topics that we deal with is, I see two areas which are the most difficult, and that is the nonverbal years, and special needs, kids who have special needs and may not be verbal, but the younger ones who can't, they don't have the tools, they don't have the ability to tell you what's going on. And then the teenage years where sometimes these people are successful about turning the kids against us. It's usually temporary. 9 times out of 10 or even more, it's temporary, and sometimes it lasts longer than we would like, but they come back, and that's what I see all the time from my vantage point. Yeah, people are commenting on the on separating and that sibling bond. It's important. My coffee cup from my friend Sue, I love her. Somebody asked, have you heard from your ex-husband? Any shenanigans lately? That was one of the Instagram questions. Not from him. So for those of you who are fairly new, Glenn and I successfully terminated my ex-husband's parental rights in November, and Glenn adopted the girls. So we have absolute peace. We have no ties to the family court system anymore on a personal level. My ex-husband has not physically seen our daughters since 2014. So, back then he was cut off by the court system. He couldn't even call them anymore. So we've had a lot of peace. They're 13 and 15. And, our home life is pretty darn uneventful and normal. I've sheltered them from a lot when it comes to him. I know he is lying in wait for my oldest daughter to turn 18. They have made that known. The family has, that they will come out when the girls turn 18. My daughter is, I have bedhead. It's really coffee with Tina. My oldest daughter is very aware that he is likely going to spring out when she turns 18, and she will have some choice words for him when that happens. She is a force to be reckoned with. She had an insight into his mentality last year when we terminated parental rights, and he called in to testify by phone. And she was sitting in the courtroom and heard him telling the court that all of their memories with him are 100% positive. Of course, it's all my fault. I alienated them. And my daughter, she did such an amazing job. She kept her poker face. And when we walked out of the courtroom, she looked at me and said, "Mom, that made my blood boil. It took everything in me to sit there and be quiet, but to hear him say that our memories with him are positive," she was livid, and she has a right to be. And so more power to him if he wants to try to. She said to me, she goes, well, if he tries to contact us when we're 18, that's what restraining orders are for. And I'm like, go you. She knows what I do for a living. She knows so many of the moms that I help, and she hears a lot of the stories, and it's my job and it's what I do, and they've had insight into that. And I'll tell you, they have backbones. They know to trust their voice or their gut. They have voices. They know what boundaries are. They're going to go into the world as little warriors, and that's a great thing. Back to the question of any shenanigans from him lately. So he is back in my area. Unfortunately, we live in a very small town. He is very infamous. He has not only screwed us over, but a lot of people in the community. So I do get updates about his drunken shenanigans and sightings of him. It is what it is. He has no power over us anymore, and that gives me such a feeling of relief. Even though he had been out of our lives since 2014, to know that if we have an encounter, whatever, he can't go put anything in front of the court. We're done. And that's a beautiful thing. So they know their truth. Yes. Cheers to strong daughters. Amen. Okay, last question, and it's one that I guarantee you every single person on here will feel this. How do you not get discouraged? Things seem worse, not better. And, how do you keep putting one foot in front of the other? There's going to be times where you kind of have to just pause and put on your oxygen mask. And I've shared this before. I pride myself on my documentation system. But if you look back at my case, there may be 3 months where nothing was documented. That doesn't mean nothing was happening. It was probably a really dark time where I was feeling just like this person and so many of you. But I will say, you have to regroup. You have to dust yourself off. And I can tell you 2011 through 2013 was that for me, to where I just felt like, I started my blog in 2011 out of desperation, just kind of questioning, is this me? Like, what is trying to make sense of it, trying to capture what was, on a scale of revenge from 1 to 10, Tina scored 100. Succeeding in life, being happy, moving on, and using the nightmare to help other women. That means so much to me. Thank you. But how do you not get discouraged? You just put on your oxygen mask, you regroup, you kind of, you never give up. I was so focused on writing out what my outcome was, that my kids would be safe and happy. That was my outcome. And then there were going to be all kinds of circumstances that came into play that challenged that. And a lot of it for me was, not going down the what if path, the should have, could have, would have path, staying focused on the end goal. When you're in it, it's hard to lift your vision and see that end goal. I am, over the top when it comes to positive thinking and staying focused on the end goal. And I will tell you, it has worked out for me my entire life. I have been through some pretty horrific things in life. And gratitude is huge for me. And so when you're putting on your oxygen mask and taking a break from all of this, those 3-month segments where I didn't document anything, probably really dark times. Sometimes I read things I wrote in my blog or my book, and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I blocked that out. I'm glad I wrote it. I'm glad I captured it, because I can go back and see how far I've come. But give yourself credit, because when you're in it, it's hard to see all of the little successes. When you have a little success, even if your child recognizes poor behavior in another person, that's a success. It may have nothing to do with the court, but empowering our kids, teaching our kids what boundaries are, that we have emotional boundaries, we have mental boundaries, we have physical boundaries, any little realization that our kids have that move them towards being healthy, happy, secure, even with everything going on in their lives. I get a lot of questions about, how are your kids doing? How have they handled all of this? During the darkest times, I had so many concerns about who they would be as teenagers or young adults with everything they've been through. And I had to constantly remind myself, they're on their own journeys as well. We're on parallel paths. I only have so much control. My job, and it's easy to forget this, my job is to be there for them, to teach them, to strengthen them. And when you're so caught up in this battle, sometimes it's really hard to do. And so sometimes it is okay to push pause for 3 months and just focus on your kids, being down at their level. There are some parts of my journey where it breaks my heart because I'll see a picture of myself with my kids and I'm like, I know I was there because I was in that picture, but I don't remember that moment at all. And it's because I was so focused on the battle. And so if I could go back and do some things differently, I would. We have to fight to protect our kids, but sometimes we have to kind of go, this is not in my control right now. And I have to stay positive. I have to stay focused. I have to be present for my kids because they need me. And I'm a firm believer that even with the most toxic parent in the world, if you can be a rock for your kids and shelter them from as much of this battle as you can, they have a really good chance of coming through this as strong, amazing little humans. And I have seen that with my own kids, and they've been through a lot, a lot. And my book just touches on the bigger moments that we've been through. And sometimes I don't even touch on some of the really big moments because they're personal to my daughters, and I don't want to jeopardize them and their story. That's their story to tell one day, and I'm sure they'll tell it in their own way or use it to help other people. So, all right, everyone. Let me see. Be consistent. Yes. Be constant. My kids ignore me, but I know they're paying attention. Yeah, no, the comments, I love all of your comments, and I'm so thankful for all of you, and thank you for joining me. I'm so happy to have this electronics figured out now and my new Mac. Oh, Jessica, thank you so much. Thank you very much. I have multiple online courses in August. There's one this week. I think it's my documentation course. If I had to guess, it's August 4th. If you can't join us live, you can register and you'll get the link afterwards. You can watch it at your convenience over the next 30 days. I also have one on mediation, strategic communication, and the biggest one, and the one I'm most passionate about, safeguarding your case from claims of parental alienation. That whole movement should be terrifying to each and every one of you because it is the narcissist weapon to turn the tables on their own abuse and put the spotlight on you where it does not belong. So if you are interested in any of the courses, the One Mom's Battle website, click on education and then online courses. Thank you all for joining me, and so much love to all of you. Oh, if we weren't added to your state group, should we re-email our stuff? Yes. And my apologies if, there are things slipping through the cracks. I'm trying to run 54 different Facebook groups by myself and do all the vetting and all of that. I take it very seriously. And so, yeah, somebody is signed up on August 4th. Awesome. I do all the online courses. They're all me. I'm a one-person show over here. So thanks, everyone. Take care, and we will see you soon.